All right, this weekend's project is replacing the boards on my trailer here that I use. This is my main trailer for the business. It's a true 7x14 trailer, custom made by a welding shop a couple towns over. I found this last year. The metal frame, it was in great shape. The boards have not been in the best shape. They are pretty torn up. The guy that had it, he bought it secondhand. He was the second owner, but he used it to haul trash away for people and scrap metal and everything. It had tie downs where one was. He yanked that one up, pulling a heavy load off. The rest of them I cut into pieces. You can still see that one's still solid. Those two are solid. They weren't in the way, but when I go and unload the trailer, I take my mini with the bucket and scoop the floor and haul the mulch out because I don't have a dump trailer, and I kept getting hung up on those. They were just a pain in the ass, so I cut them out, and the rest of it's just, like I said, deteriorating. This was a real weak area, and this is right over the two axles. This is right where I park my stump grinder, my mini skid. So I reinforced that with some plywood that I had. Again, here, some more plywood. This is actually the first board that I added because the back was just completely falling apart. As you can see, that one's all the way through. That one's all the way through. So I slapped that. That was the first board I slapped up here. We went ahead and went to the store. I'm working on another project over here that I had to get wood for. So we went ahead and grabbed these while we were there. I still got to get the bolts. I'll stop by in the morning on my way home from work, next day off, and pick up the bolts, and that'll be the day that I start putting the stuff on. Hopefully this evening. We'll go ahead and get the plywood up and that board up, and I may get into taking these bolts off. They're carriage bolts, so usually what I'll do is I'll just come in with the angle grinder, grind the heads off, and pry the boards up. Saturday, I got home this morning, got changed, I'm out here, and it's time to start tearing this trailer up. All right, when I start pulling the boards off the trailer, I like to start in the middle. That way, it opens to me, it seems to open the gap up a lot quicker for you to stand on the ground and work either side of you, versus if you start on one side, pull that one up, then you're having to get down in between that wall and the next board. It just seems easier to start in the middle. Plus, this one is probably pretty beat up. I might be able to just smash it all through with a sledgehammer and be quicker. So I'm over halfway done. I've got 3 more boards to go. Wanted to talk about a couple things while I'm doing this, and this is the prime time to show it. But when we're talking about grinding these carriage bolts down, these were actually recessed in the wood pretty deep. Grind down to the point that the head starts to get to the thinnest part, and it starts to heat up and turn red because the metal's getting so thin. And you'll see that square right there in the middle. That doesn't turn red because that's part of the bolt going down, and it hasn't absorbed all the heat that the thin metal on top has. So that's as far as I go. And then when you start prying, it'll kind of mushroom up like that does. That cone, it'll pull that thin metal up, and you're not really fighting it. Thought of this either, but with hauling mulch, I don't know if this came from, or hauling chips from wood, I don't know if this came from me or just over time this thing's picked up termites. That is definitely termites. I saw termites coming out of it as I busted it open. The center boards, I didn't really notice. But that could be what's caused this thing to break up like it has. But this is clearly termites, and the fact I saw termites coming out of it. So yeah, this whole area is going to get sprayed with bifin as soon as I'm done. So as dumb as it sounds, and to my surprise, you know, I'm human, I can admit when I miss stuff. This actually has electric brakes on the front axle here. I have not taken the tires off of this trailer, so I did not know. The guy I bought it from said nothing about electric brakes. I do grease my hubs. They have the buddy bearing, easy bearing, whatever you want to call them. So you just pull the cap off the end, slap some grease in it in a Zerk fitting, and voila, you greased it. So I did not have a opportunity to pull these wheels off. So I don't know why the guy didn't mention the electric brakes. You know, that would bring the value up on the trailer. I got a decent COVID deal on this. This was bought during COVID, post-COVID, whatever you want to call it, last year. Being a fabricator, that is nice because it tucks the wires away. You don't have to worry about them snagging. As a mechanic diagnostic running electrical issues, that is the biggest pain in the ass, is to have these wires smushed under boards, because you cannot see up in here. You don't know how they're smushed. Prime example, right here, this was sitting on top of this, and you can see where it's rubbed into the axle. It has rubbed this coating off of these red wires. They're not bare, so they're still usable. I'm gonna leave them like they are. I'm gonna tighten it up, make it look better. But right here, where this one runs across, it has smashed through this right here and exposed that copper wire. And every once in a while, I'm getting a blown fuse on my trailer lights, and that could be possibly it. I do have a loose connection where it plugs into the back of the truck. It could be that, but you wiggle it and it comes back on. Usually that type of connection doesn't, it immediately breaks the circuit. So that typically doesn't blow fuses, whereas this right here, this immediately sends it straight to ground, and that will blow a fuse. So I'm gonna fix that. But this is what I don't like seeing. These splices here, butt connectors here, from a diagnostic point, I don't like seeing those. You don't know if they're still tight. You don't know what kind of corrosion you got in them. Wires should be twisted together, soldered if possible, heat shrink, and or several layers of electrical tape. Part of what made this getting the boards up so easy was the fact that they only put the carriage bolts in 4 spots. The main one back here at the back, skip one, go to the next, skip one, go to the next, skip a couple and go to the front. So that actually made it pretty quick and easy to get that up, and I do like that for simplicity. And I highly recommend that if you have one board go bad on a trailer, go ahead and replace it right away instead of waiting, because that one board weakening can damage the other boards, and then you wind up like me where you have to replace all of them. So that does make it easy. However, part of what gives the trailer the stiffness and sturdiness and reinforcement is not just the boards sitting on top of the metal. So when you drive onto it, put a load on it, you're putting weight on the boards, and the boards sit down on the metal. That's fine. But also, if you put a carriage bolt in where every support is, then the trailer can actually use those boards as a cross member. So we have horizontal cross members going this way, but we don't have any vertical. For every carriage bolt going up, that support can use that board as a vertical support. So if you put one in every slot all the way up, your trailer has a lot more rigidness. And for what I'm doing with all the weight on it, I want to put them in every single one that I can. The question of, do we put metal bracing in? And the answer is yes. This is my trailer. I've got the weekend. I'm going to do it right. I've got everything here. We need some vertical bracing to go in here to keep this from, like I said, bowing. We can see back here, this is bowed in. I'm going to fix that with the car jack. And then we're going to run the vertical bracing to keep this from bowing. I know what I put on this thing, and I put a lot of weight. When I do haulaways, I will load chips all the way to the top of that 2-foot wall at the front. And what I mean by load chips is I'll dump it, and then I'll compact it by walking on it and stomping on it each layer. And I can put 3 of the mini scoops, the mini skid steer scoops across, stomp it, and I can do that 4 to 5 times depending on chip to dirt ratio. And then I come back and I can probably do that so that, let's see, 3 scoops across, let's say 5 scoops high to be easy is 15. And probably where each cross member is easily 100 pounds a piece. Get here to the front axle, I start to taper it off if needed. If I still have that many chips, I'll taper it off back here to the back gate to create a little ramp. I'll take my tarp, I'll pull my tarp over, I'll run my mini skid up, and my stump grinder up just enough that the stump grinder head is in the trailer where the mesh will close. So the stump grinder is 1,800 pounds. The mini skid's about 300 or 400 pounds. That right there is 2,200 pounds.